In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a viral 3D carousel editing style like Keanu Visuals as shown here very easily without doing any complicated things in After Effects. So without any further ado, let's get started. The tutorial may be lengthy, but trust me, it's worth it. First of all, create a new composition and let's rename it to main comp. Now import your footage and then drop it on the timeline panel. Let's rotate it to 90 degrees to fill it to the composition size. Let me create a folder and name it footage. Now import your images or videos and drop them on this footage folder just to keep the files organized. Now with the video layer selected, go to the tracker panel. If you can't find the tracker panel here, go to window and make sure the tracker has got a little check mark before it. Now click on track motion. It will give us a tracker point. Okay, let's start tracking from this frame. Now we need to place this tracker point over a high contrasting area to track that particular area more accurately. Click on this Analyze Forward button to track each and every frame forward from this frame. In some cases, it might not track accurately as you can see here. In that case, just hit Ctrl Z to undo it and find some other high contrasting area and place the tracker point over there and click on Analyze Forward button. Hope this one works. Now we need to create a null layer and rename it to Tracking Info. Now with the video layer selected, click on Edit Target and here make sure the null layer is selected and click on OK, and finally click on Apply and make sure the dimensions are set to X and Y and click on OK. Now the null layer has the tracking information. Now we need to create a new composition and let's rename it to Clip 1. We need to import the image in this Clip 1 composition. Scale it up until it fills up the composition size. Now with no layer selected, select the rounded rectangle tool. Make sure the fill is set to black and the stroke is set to none, and just double click on this rounded rectangle tool to create a rectangle shape as same as of the composition size. Now expand the rectangle properties and increase the roundness to about 200 and then set the image or video layer track matte to shape 1. Now we need to make 5 more copies of this composition so that we can have 6 slides. Now open the Clip 2 composition, select the image layer and now hold the Alt key and select another image and drag it onto this image layer to replace it. Increase the scale to fill it to the composition size. Now we need to open Clip 3 composition, select the image layer and just hold the Alt key and replace the image. Do the same with the rest of the compositions as well. Now you can close all these composition windows. Select all these composition layers and drop them on the main composition. Enable 3D on all of them. Let's create a null object and enable 3D on it as well. Select all the composition layers and scale them down. This much looks fine. Okay, let's start from this frame. Now open null to position properties by pressing P and let's give it a Z position value of 500. Press R to open rotation properties. Now we need to parent Clip 1 to null 2. Now we need to apply some math here. Open calculator. To have the 6 slides to rotate in a circle form, we need to divide 360 by the number of slides that we have, which is 6. So 360 by 6 gives 60. So copy the value and paste it on the Y rotation of null 2. Now parent Clip 2 composition to null 2 layer and let's add one more 60 to the rotation Y value. Repeat the same process. Parent the Clip 3 layer to null 2 and add one more 60 to null Y rotation value. Do the same with the rest of the compositions as well. And finally, just parent Clip 6 to null. We don't need to assign any rotation value here because 360 or 0 degrees are both same. Now parent null 2 layer to the null 1 which has the tracking information. Now select all these clip compositions and position them above as shown here. Now we need to open position and opacity properties by pressing P and T on the keyboard. Add keyframes on these properties and then come few frames forward about 6 or 7 frames and again add keyframes on both of these properties. Now come to the first keyframe position and set the opacity to 0, and for the position let's give it a Y position value of -29 so that we can have a slide up animation like this. At the end add keyframes again and then come 2 or 3 frames forward and let's create a slide up animation and also set the opacity value to 0. Now select all these keyframes and press F9 to ease ease. You can also offset these composition layers to make it look more attractive. At the end, we are getting this abrupt slide up animation due to offsetting layers. Press U to open keyframes, and let's place these keyframes a bit earlier, like about 3 or 4 frames. That will do the job. Let's create a text layer and position it above the first slide as shown here, and make it a 3D layer and parent it to null to layer. Let's have the rotation animation, add a keyframe on Y rotation, and add one more keyframe at the beginning as well. On this first keyframe, just give it some random rotation value. I think we need to position these keyframes a bit further on the timeline so that we can have a slight rotation when the slides pop up. This is what I'm trying to do. Select the keyframes and press F9 to easy ease. Position the text exactly over the slide. Now come to the frame where you press the button. I think this is that frame. So add a keyframe over there and just come 2 or 3 frames forward and increase the rotation Y value so that we can see the next slide. Here we go. This is what we have got. When I press the button, it should switch to the next image, and then come to the frame where I press the button again. Add a keyframe over there and then come 2 or 3 frames forward and increase the rotation Y value so we can see the next slide. You can adjust the keyframe's position to match the timing more accurately. You need to just repeat the same process for a few more times. Let's check what we have got. Yeah, that's perfect. And make a copy of the text layer and double click on the text to re-edit it. First of all, disable the parent link and come to the frame where you can see the second slide, and let's start the layer from there. I think we need to decrease the size of the text. Do the same for this text as well. Make a copy of this text layer and come to the frame where you can see the third slide and start the text layer from there. Here I forgot to parent the second text layer, so place your playhead at the beginning of the second slide and then parent the layer to null 2. Now the text follows that slide. Now by being on the third slide, parent the text layer to null 2. Now duplicate the text layer and re-edit it, and then remove the parent link, and then come to the frame where you can see the next slide and parent the text to null 2 layer. Do the same for the other compositions as well. Yeah, here we go. This is what we have got. You can anytime adjust the alignment of the text with the help of keyboard arrow keys. Let me do it for every other text layers. Yeah, here we go. This is the final preview. I hope you learned something new from this tutorial. At the end, let's trim out all these text layers at this frame just before the slides start fading out. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching.